All right, there we go. So what we're going to talk about today is exactly what you can do. What are some tips and tricks? Maybe you've already heard a lot of this. Maybe you haven't, but there's some great ideas in here. Much of it I've done myself. Some of it is stuff that I have plagiarized and stolen from other people that I thought might be good ideas and good ways to help you maximize the time that you spend with your open houses. So let's dive in. So number one, let's talk about the primary reasons to actually hold an open house, right? First and foremost, it's to generate buyer prospects. And number two, it's to generate seller prospects. And I think that this is one that people miss many times. They don't realize that sellers are coming through. We call them nosy neighbors, but what are they actually doing? They're interviewing you. They're looking to see what you're doing, because when the time comes that they may want to sell their house, they're going to consider you if they feel like you did an amazing job, right? So it's important to think about the fact that when you're doing a lot of these things that we're going to talk about today, that sellers are actually interviewing you as well. Another primary reason to hold an open house is to potentially sell or list another house, right? Get something else in that area. Number four is to sell that house. Now, I've heard people say the numbers range from 1% to 10% of homes that actually sell from an open house. But the bottom line is they do, right? Number five is satisfying the seller. That means that you've somehow promoted in your marketing pieces and things like that, that you will be holding the house open for them, which means that you are appeasing the seller. And a lot of times sellers are convinced that open houses do sell their home, right? They've seen that in online marketing platforms, or another agent has told them that, or something along those lines. So they're convinced that open houses are what sell homes. All right, so let's talk about some keys to a successful home, open house. Number one, the house that you choose is key. Remember, I understand you're holding open houses to appease sellers, but you have to also want to make sure that you're maximizing your time. To me, it's funny that many agents will go out and they will put in 2 hours. They'll do an open house from 1 to 3. Here's the deal, guys. When I would do open houses, and I haven't done them in a bit, but when I do, many times I will hold them 10 to 4. I will hold them all day long, right? You're going in and working for 2 hours and then you're leaving. Come on now. So number one, good location. Choose a good location. Don't choose open houses that take 57 turns to get there, right? Left, right, left, right, left, right, all the way at the back. People get lost. And unless we're going to talk about signs in a moment, unless you're going to put out 30, 40, 50 signs, ideally find something that is on the front 1 or 2 turns maximum. The other option is one of my most successful open houses was one that was on a very busy street. If you're familiar with our area, Hazel Avenue was a busy street. And I remember there was a HUD home on Hazel Avenue. And everyone was like, ew, why would you hold that house open? Nobody's going to want it. That was the busiest open house I ever had. I literally would get 30, 40, 50 people stopping and coming into that open house. So choose your locations wisely. Just because they're on a busy street doesn't mean that they're going to be a bad location. Might not be a house that people want to buy, but I'll tell you what, you're going to get tons and tons of clients in there, right? The next one is price range that is in demand. So I know we all would love to sell the $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes, and maybe that's an opportunity for you in your market, but choose a home that's going to get a ton of activity and a ton of demand, right? Ideally, whatever that average price point is for your area, or the price point that you're wanting to focus on, is what you should look at. So price range that is in demand is key. Ideally, choosing a house that's new on the market. We know first weekend on the market, first and second weekends are the busiest time for open houses. And it doesn't have to be exclusive to the weekends, you guys. Open houses can work great on a Wednesday night from 3 to 7, right? When kids are getting out of school, if it's near a school. Open houses can be done any day, time of the week. I saw an agent do an open house on a home that was across the street from Hewlett Packard. And every day between 11:30 and 2:30, everyone would go to lunch from Hewlett Packard. And she would hold that house open during lunchtime across the street from Hewlett Packard and got tons of business from it, right? So think about what is in the area and in the market for open houses and when you can host them or hold them. Make sure that you're choosing a house that's good condition, right? Nobody wants to walk into an open house and have to put a face mask on because it smells so bad. So choose houses that are in good condition, that aren't messy and sloppy. What you don't want is somebody to come in and be distracted by the hoarder conditions or the smell conditions of a home, right? So make sure that you're choosing a home ideally that's in good condition and one that shows well. I really encourage you also, if it is not your own personal listing, go preview these homes before you hold it open. Know that going in, what that home looks like, right? That's the ideal situation. Okay, so again, excuse my voice, you guys. I got a strained voice and I'm using all my energy and breath so to use my voice today. Okay, the next thing is advance notice is key. You guys, deciding to do an open house Friday night at 6 o'clock when you're going to do it the next morning at 10 a.m. I mean, I understand people have to do that sometimes, but that is not the ideal situation. And remember, the whole point of an open house is to get business, right? So begin your promotions as early in the week as possible. Ideally, no later than Thursday, so your open house is able to syndicate out to all the major sites. Zillow, we're going to talk about that in realtor.com and those kinds of stuff, right? So what do most agents do? Most agents actually, again, show up to do an open house from 1 to 3. They get there 10 minutes before. They work a whole whopping 2 hours out of an 8 to 10 hour day. And then they wonder why they don't have any business, why they didn't get anybody, right? I can tell you that my good friend Chris Okamura a couple of years ago was struggling, and he'll be the first one to tell you this. And he was really struggling financially. So he committed to doing 30 open houses in 30 days. 30. And he did it. Guess when he did it? The month of December. Everyone's like, you're crazy. Why would you do that? At the end of those 30 days, he had put 7 clients in contract. 7. So how bad do you guys want it? You want it to where you're going to work at 2 hours on a Saturday? Woo, 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 right? Or are you going to put in the time, energy, and the resources to maximize these open houses and make it worth it? All right. So let's talk about what you do before getting the word out, right? Treat every open house as an event. Imagine you're throwing a celebration for one of your kids, a birthday party, right? The first question I want you to ask is, how can I put together a birthday party that will blow people away? Reminds me of when my kids were young. My son John's birthday was always it is in July. So we would always do a summer carnival because I could write off his birthday. So we would have these massive, we're going to do it again this year. We would have these massive birthday parties, right? That were a summer carnival with water slides and all that stuff. We get 200-300 people at an event. Now, open houses, you can do the same thing. I want you to cultivate the response of wow, right? From every person that walks in the door. Even if the buyers think the house is just okay, but they walk in and they go, wow, this is like a wild open house, right? Indoor, outdoor open houses are great as well. I encourage those a lot. What do I mean by an indoor, outdoor open house? Partner with somebody. Partner with 2 or 3 other agents. There's plenty of business for everybody. Get your lenders out there, get people, and set up a pop-up tent in front of the house with balloons and music and sodas and water and snacks or whatever. Because what do people do? They drive past and they see this lonely little open house sign by the front door and they just keep driving, right? Man, if they pull up to the open house and there's pop-up tents and balloons and the music is rocking and there's food and everything, and people out there waving them in, right? Can you imagine? We've done a ton of indoor, outdoor open houses, and they're hugely successful. You can have an agent or 2 or a lender out front. You can have an agent or 2 or a lender inside. Guess what? You get 30, 40, 50 people. There's more than enough business for everybody, right? So I encourage you guys, again, think of this like a big event. And if you did one of those a week and could get 20, 30, 50 people through an event and through your open houses, you're going to get plenty of opportunities for business, right? All right. So next one is the rule of 412. Promote at least 4 days before the event. I stole this from Sharon Savista. Promote at least 4 days before the event. You would spend more than 4 days planning your child's birthday party, wouldn't you? Number 2, consider both traditional and online promotional tactics, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes. Next, post one day. This is your day to make the home shine and blow potential buyers away. Don't just do open houses for 2 hours. Do them for 4, 5, 6 hours, right? Get tons of traffic coming through the open house. The last one here, follow up 2 days after the event. Don't miss the opportunities by failing to follow up with leads from your open house. Send thoughtful, personalized messages and schedule another meeting, right? This is what's important. All right, so step 1, make sure you're posting it in the MLS. I know this sounds like a no-brainer, but I can't tell you how many agents don't even post their open houses in the MLS. Adding the open house to your MLS will typically post it to any search portal that pulls open house information as part of the IDX feed, which means you post it in MLS, it's going to show up in, Zillow, in realtor.com, on all the websites, everything. Many MLSs have websites. Adding the open house, your listing in the MLS will allow it to post to the listing on their site, right? Next, this could also potentially reach some of the larger real estate corporate sites if the open house field is part of the criteria that their feed pulls. Okay, so number 2, tell the neighbors. I'm here to tell you that neighbors meet and greets are one of the most successful things that I've done. What does that mean? It means that Friday night before the open house, before it hits the market, I'll do a neighbors meet and greet. And I will send out postcards. You got to plan for this about a week ahead of time. I will send out postcards ahead of time. I will drop flyers in the neighborhood, door knock, invite people to the neighbors meet and greet. Have a gift certificate or something you can have at the neighbors meet and greet. We would always do wine and cheese and good stuff at the neighbors meet and greet. Do it on a Friday night from like 5 to 7, 4 to 7. I will tell you that a few years ago, I did this neighbors meet and greet when I heard about it. And I had a listing that was priced at $999,000. We did a neighbors meet and greet the night before. One of the neighbors wanted to buy the home for her daughter. We double-ended $1 million home from a neighbors meet and greet. Neighbors are your best source of gossip. They can't wait to come through the house. They've been wanting to see what's going on with that home for a while, right? So really important to make sure that you're letting the neighbors know. Taking flyers out and door knocking the neighborhood is really good, right? Making sure that the neighbors know about what's going on and will invite their friends. Maybe they have relatives, kids, parents, somebody who may be interested in buying a home in that area. So sorry, I accidentally muted myself there. I apologize. Okay, so the next one is step 3 is add it to Craigslist. I know, good old Craigslist. People are like, oh, that's outdated. It doesn't work. I'm here to tell you that Craigslist still works. Number 1, it's free. They get tons of traffic. It literally takes very little time. You can post it in just a couple minutes and post the open house part in the title of the post to make sure it's included in the post. You can see an example here, open house, right, with stars, making sure that it is included there. So it's awesome to add them to Craigslist. I know people say, oh, that doesn't work. It's cheesy. It still works. Cheesy works. We're going to get to some more cheesy stuff here in a moment. All right, step 4, post it to Zillow and Trulia. Again, keep in mind that some of these sites are already pulling it from your MLS, but some of them also like direct traffic. So making sure that it's actually showing up on Zillow, Trulia. And I'm also making sure it's showing up on realtor.com and making sure you might have to create a pro login on some of these if you don't already have it to post to the open houses. The next thing is social media, right? So blast it out, of course, to all of your social media channels. I'm here to tell you right now what's going on with social media is you must post unique content. In other words, don't post from TikTok and have it shared to Instagram and Facebook, or vice versa, have it shared to those, because they don't reward you for sharing their information. They don't want other social medias, brandings, things like that. You'll notice when you share your stuff from Facebook to Instagram, your Instagram posts get like 0 views or vice versa. So it's important that you keep in mind that you want to make sure your post, if you're going to post to social media, share and post unique content, meaning take that video and post it individually to each site. Okay. Post multiple times leading up to your open house. Don't use the Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com link for posting. Use your KV Core if you have it, or use your own website for posting your open houses. Encourage people to share the post, right? And do little videos, like Reels right now are getting the most attention. Facebook and Instagram want Reels to get the attention. So that's where most of the attention is going right now. So post videos, post pictures, make it into a reel, and you'll get a lot more attention. Now, Facebook Live used to be a bigger thing. It's still, some people are doing Facebook Lives when they're at the home, which is still pretty valuable. So keep in mind, you might want to do 1 to 2 Facebook Live posts in the days leading up to the open house, and make sure to point out features of the home. Point out the location if it's desirable, right? Encourage feedback. Announce that you're going to have a drawing at the open house if you want to build a lot of excitement. The next thing is, I think that this is important, and I just came up with this. I found this on somebody else's site somewhere. It said, do the recon, right? What do other open houses in the neighborhood or surrounding areas look like? I've been challenging people in my Sales Shield class lately to get out there and go to other people's open houses to see what are they doing at their open house. And you'll get to that open house and you'll see, man, they don't have any signs up. They're in there not paying attention. They didn't put any snacks out. You know, the house smells bad. Do your recon to compete in your marketplace and articulate your value proposition. It's imperative to familiarize yourself with the competition, right? So take a friendly, collaborative approach to visiting community open houses. Go in and say hi to the agent, get to know them, get to know who your competition is in the area. Okay, so next is signs. And I know some of you guys are like, these are cheesy. I don't like these, but guess what? They get attention. Think about this. How many of you have been going down the freeway? You got a 2-hour drive ahead of you. You're in La La Land, and all of a sudden you see a sign that says peaches. You see another sign that says bananas, plums, nectarines, pistachios. Next thing you know, 3 miles down the road, you come to a fruit stand. All of a sudden, you're pulling your car into the fruit stand to go buy yourself some peaches and pistachios, right? And those are like handmade. They got out there with spray paint signs, whatever. Doesn't matter. But the reality is, examples of signs, for example, here's some really good examples, right? I love these. Big flags. You can get these flags, you guys, for 50, 60 bucks. You can even have them branded, right? And you can get these flags, have these open house signs. I mean, I love these, right? I thought these were so awesome. And they have all these different signs. Do you think this open house stands out more than anybody else's? Absolutely, right? Look at where you're putting your sign placement. Make sure to line the major streets and intersections, right? Of course, you got to adhere to any city ordinance laws. I buy cheap signs. I go to Big Daddy Signs or whatever they are and buy the $5, $6 plastic core signs. And I buy literally 2, 3, 4, 500 of them at a time because they get stolen. People take them, things like that, right? So make sure that you are going out there and getting signs, right? Brooke, you asked where they got those yellow trifold. I don't, but I love those signs. I've been wanting to copy those for a long time. I'm sure I'll see what I can find online, but I'm sure you can Google it and find them. Another thing is add balloons if you can. Take signs. My husband is my sign placement guy. He's my personal assistant. So, and you can hire kids to do it too, right? If you want, but he also gets bungee cords so that he can attach them to signposts and street signs and things like that. So that's an idea of something to think about, right? Okay, so the next step is remove flyers from the box. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people have open houses. They got all their flyers in the box. So what do people do? They pull up, they grab a flyer, and they keep driving, right? So make sure you are removing the flyers from the box. I know, again, some of this sounds elementary, but it's important. Okay, next we're going to talk about what do you do during the open house, okay? Be prepared, first of all. Make sure you have property flyers and all the details. Call the seller if it's not your, not the seller, call the agent if it's not your seller, and get detailed instructions about the home. Find out what they love about the home. Do they love the park around the corner? Do they love they can walk their kids to school? Do they love that, you know, there's a clubhouse or whatever that they love about that neighborhood? Find out what people love about the neighborhood first. Make sure that you're also taking a list of active and vacant properties in the area. Why do I say vacant? Because guess what? If they want to see one of those houses and right after your open house and the house is vacant, you don't have to worry about scheduling an appointment, right? So do like a 1 mile radius search, or do, depending on your market, if you're selling a home between 600,000 and 700,000, give them a list of everything in the market from 600,000 to 700,000. Making sure that you also have plenty of business cards on hand, making sure that you have refreshments, right? And put out something that's easy for people to grab. Now, kind of with, you know, the history of COVID, people like things that are wrapped up. They don't necessarily want open cookies, but you can put whatever out, right? I've done cheese and meat trays. I've done cookies. I've done vegetable trays that have something out for people to grab. Have buyer and seller presentation packets available so that you can give them to a client, right? And making sure you have sign-in cards. Another key is making sure that you are putting something on the back of flyers, right? This is a great direct response marketing campaign that we've done, that we've put on the back of our flyers. All these homes must be sold. Search right away at Placer County MLS, right? Here's an example of the front of a flyer, right? I've added my information. I printed this straight out of the MLS. I put a list of all the homes that were available in that area. This was back in 2017 when prices were a little lower, right? And some direct response stuff down here to get people to go to my website and search for homes, right? So great stuff that you can post and put out there. Okay, requiring sign-in. I know this goes back and forth, right? Require guests to sign in for your safety. We literally would take this sign right here and post it on the front door. And we say you will be required to register as a visitor today. That way they know right away. If your guests don't sign in, you guys, you've failed. I'm not being strict here, and I'm just being super honest. Open houses are all about collecting valid buyer leads for your seller. Make the sign-in process easy for your prospective buyers. Whether you use a guest book, open house, registry, application, etc., the sign-in should take them no more than 30 seconds, right? And don't forget to have your business cards available, making sure that you're getting people to sign in. If you're using an online form or of a sign-in or tablet or computer, make sure you double check that your Wi-Fi connects before you start the open house, right? Nothing worse than being there and you can't open anything because your Wi-Fi is not working. So make sure to offer checkboxes for property searches. Offer checkboxes for free home valuations, right? Great stuff. Okay, so the next one is, these are 2 scripts you should know. And again, I stole this from Sharon Savista. He did a great open house class, and so I merged it with a bunch of my stuff. Make sure that within the first few minutes of greeting new open house guests, there are 2 pieces of information you guys want to gather. First, you want to find out, how did they find the house, right? That way you know what's working in your marketing and what isn't. Did you see the signs? Did you find us online? Try to avoid saying what brings you in today, okay? Now, this script was created over 30 years ago by someone who's never hosted an open house. It's fairly obvious what they are there for. And the question does not allow you to find out valuable information about the potential buyers. Next, we want to find out their motivation to buy. Ask your guests, are you looking to buy a home in the next 3 to 5 years? This question immediately releases the pressure that you're going to sell them something today, right? So this is important, and this will help you quite a bit by using these two scripts, okay? Next is, if you cannot escort people, set up the flow. Even if you don't have many of your team members helping you and you're unable to escort people through each room, don't let your guests wander. Provide them with specific directions that will take them down the most flattering route of the house, right? Like if the highlight is the backyard, you're going to want to say, oh my gosh, you need to go see this amazing backyard first, right? Then make sure you're available to them to ask questions, right? Not only will establishing this flow ahead of time allow your guests to see the best features of the home, but it will allow you to keep things organized so you can give each potential buyer proper attention. To guide them, try using a script like, hey, Joan, welcome to 123 Main Street. I know there are a lot of people here, so let me give you some direction. Why don't you start in the living room and grab a cookie on your way, right? Don't miss the red barn door that was crafted specifically for this home. I'll check on you in a few minutes, but please feel free to grab me for any questions you may have along the way. Don't give them more than 3 directions at a time, or they likely won't remember where to go and what to see, right? Okay, so next, again, the more houses you can show your guests under your brand, the quicker you get the win. Curate a path of homes for them based on what their wants and needs are, and they'll look to you as their advisor. Try saying, hey, if you're still looking for homes in this area, I know of a great one right around the corner from here. It'll only take you 5-10 minutes. Tell them Marguerite sent you. But before you send them on their way, make sure you let them know how they can reach you and what the next steps are. Okay, so let's talk about after. What is the most important thing of after? It would be follow-up, follow-up, right? The riches are in the niches, and it's important that you know that the fortune is in the follow-up, right? So add names to your database, set up an email drip campaign, and create alerts for area alerts. So follow up that same day. Do not call the attendees from your open house. Only reach out to those who've opted into being contacted or receiving more information. Follow up with those potential buyers in a warm way. Send a follow-up video immediately after the open house concludes while their memory of the home is still fresh. It's wise to shoot this the day before the event, even if the guests don't have 1 or 2 minutes to talk with you after they viewed the home. This video allows you to provide them more details and gauge interest, right? So good stuff there. I love the little follow-up video, and I've had a lot of people do that, and it's very popular. Last thing, seller feedback. After completing your follow-ups, make sure to provide your seller or the agent you're doing it for a summary of the open house. For example, we saw 32 guests today. I collected all their information. I have 5 hot leads, and I've sent our top leads an overview video, and I've asked for feedback, so we should hear back shortly. So tons of great information here. You guys, any questions, any thoughts, comments? What you got? Anything you want to add to it? No?
Yes, I got some questions.
Hey, Mark, how are you? Good to see you.
Doing good, thank you. Do you have like any kind of handout that you give to people coming in that helps differentiate you between other agents? Like, why work with me kind of sheet?
You know what? I don't, but that's actually a great idea. And I think that it would be pretty easy to come up with something like that, right? Like, what are the top 3 reasons to work with me? I would say things like, well, first of all, handing them a list of properties. I don't really think a lot of agents hand that out right anymore. Like, people are all caught up in doing everything online or on an app. And I don't know about you, but if I'm out driving around, it'd be awesome to have a quick list of 5-10 homes that are in the area that I can go check out, right? So giving those right away, I think differentiates you immediately. And I mean, again, my curiosity would be one of the things that we said early on in the presentation. Go see what other people are doing in your area. If you're farming a particular area, right, then I would make sure that you're checking out all the open houses and seeing what they're doing. I can guarantee you that 99% of the agents are not doing half of the stuff that we talked about in this open house presentation today.
I have
But
one
you can give them, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to say with you hand them a list of homes available in the neighborhood. Do you do also a list of other available open houses to go see? You do both?
I
Or?
do. Many
Yeah.
times I will, if there's stuff going on, there's not always a lot of open houses going on in a particular
Mhm.
neighborhood. But what I've done is I've taken the list of area homes and I'll highlight the ones that are open today.
Hmm.
I'll say this one is open today and prepare a list of homes that are open and a list of homes that are available. Again, early on, I said, when you're giving them the list, give them a list of homes that are vacant. Now you're not going to tell them that they're vacant, right? But you're going to say, hey, if you want to see any of these homes today, I'll be available right after my open house at 4:15. I can meet you at 123 Main Street. This can also be the motivation for you of having 2 or 3 agents at a time at an event, right? At an open house event. Because I've even done an open house where I've said, hey, Bob, will you hang out? I'm going to go show them this house around the corner at 123 Main, right? So those are definitely things that you can do. But I've taken people to see open houses immediately after, see vacant homes immediately after open house, having met them at the open house.
I love that idea. What about if you were basically told people you're going to be there for 5 hours and you get a hot client come through? Do you close up your doors and show them other homes, or do you wait the full 5
I've
hours?
not done that. I've not, because I've advertised and promoted it. So I've not done that. No. But I will tell you that many times I've done open houses with other people. So I've had sometimes, again, if you're doing an inside outside open house, if you're making it an event, and imagine what your seller would think if you're representing a seller and they come by and they see that you got this tent out front. There's swarms of people pulling in and coming into your open house. First of all, you guys know what the auction effect is, right? The auction effect is when you get more than one person in a house, all of a sudden the emotion arises in people and they want to be the one to win the house. So the more people you could get through an open house, the better, right? So I encourage you guys, whenever possible, to do an open house together with somebody else if you can.
What do you think about security cameras? Bringing those into the house with open for security? And
I think that in this day and age, they're somewhat necessary for a couple of reasons, because especially if people are in an open house by themselves, it's why I encourage you guys to do open houses with other people. It's not about worrying about the competition. It's also about safety. And if you do an event like we're talking about, you're going to have more than enough clients through. But also, we've had situations now, what's getting stolen out of houses is prescription drugs, right? People going through. And even if you don't have the camera active, you can put one up and say, we have security cameras in the home to dissuade people from making poor choices in there. I don't have an issue with security cameras. I think pretty much you got to assume everybody has a camera in their house now, don't you? They got the Ring camera at the front door, for goodness sake. And you got to assume that people, and I tell people that, assume that every house has a camera in it now, especially for an open house.
the other question I have is, what about advertising EXP Realty to all the realtors that come in there?
I don't think that's a problem. I think that you're building relationships, right? So if you're with EXP and you're looking to attract agents, there's no reason why you can't have a conversation with them about it. But keep in mind, recruiting is always about the relationship. So it's building that relationship first.
But
Then-
what about having handouts, or I'm even thinking about bringing like a projecting on a wall, like a little video about why join EXP and why work with me. Would that be tacky?
So I don't think anything's tacky, right? And people get caught up in tacky because they're like, oh, that doesn't work in my market. Whatever, direct response marketing works. And you could definitely have videos up there of, why work with me. I'm not so sure it would be the best place for promoting recruiting to a company, because you're trying to get buyers and sellers, right? I think it would be more appropriate to do something along the lines of, why work with me, which could highlight some of your clients that you've been able to get into homes and a number of other things. I think even a video of showing testimonials is great. I think you try anything and see what works, right? You don't know if it will work until you try it. You're already at no, so it can't hurt to try it and see what the results are. The worst that could happen is you get nothing from it. The best that could happen is you get more clients from it or more agents from it.
When is the best time to door knock before your open house? Try to get the neighbors to come.
I think 2 to 3 days ahead of time, ideally Wednesday, Thursdays, right? Are ideal. Again, I would recommend doing neighbors meet and greet. Neighbor meet and greets have been one of the most successful things that I've done. And so those you need to start inviting people like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Is ideal. So, doing a neighbors meet and greet where you get the neighbors through and you get to know them. You have a little bit more time a lot of times with them, but we've had super busy neighbors meet and greets. And and a lot of times we're putting out the open house signs too. So you're getting buyers that are in the neighborhood coming through, right?
When you schedule the neighbor meet and greet, like what day?
Friday night before the open house. So if it's a new to the market, we'll do a neighbors meet and greet on Friday night from 4 to 7. We talked about that in the beginning of the presentation. You might have missed it. The recording will be available on YouTube, so you guys can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And so we do the neighbors meet and greet on Friday night from 4 to 7. We'll do like wine and cheese and get all your nosy neighbors in there, right? Somebody, was that it? Mark, did you have any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, I dominated the Q&A here.
Right, go ahead.
Time.
You had really good questions.
Thank you.
Somebody else had a question. Some cities have a limit for signs. How do you get away with that? So Del Webb communities only allow 5 or 6 signs, which is kind of a hassle. So you can't do it in areas that do that, right? And then sometimes you'll get agents who will complain and report you. You can't put 30 signs out. Really? Have any of you guys looked at the new homes lately? New home builders go out and they put the night before 30, 50 signs, right? The big issue is you just got to make sure you pick them all up. So look at new home subdivisions. They put out a bazillion signs. So, and they put out the cheap ones. That's why I buy cheap ones, because if your city has issues, they have sign graveyards, right? So they'll come take your signs and take them to the graveyard. A lot of times you can go pick them up. Any tips that you've done in regards to slowing down your pace while inside when you have multiple families coming through? I have not done that, but what we talked about earlier in the presentation was directing people where to go, right? You got 3 families that walk in first. You might say, hey, thank you so much for signing in. By the way, check out the backyard. It's amazing. And that gives you time to talk to the next family for a minute, right? And direct people. Again, I am all about doing open houses with multiple agents. Make it a big bash event, and then you don't care, right? So you can slow down the pace. You can direct people like we talked about earlier in the presentation. You can direct the traffic. Hey, why don't you check out the backyard? Hey, why don't you guys go check out the master bedroom? Wow, you got to see that bathtub. It's cool. You can point people in different directions to kind of slow down the flow in the traffic. Okay, any other questions?
I got one. What is the best way to do like a follow-up? Like, what do you say to people when you follow up with them?
So I love the idea of video. And what I've been doing lately is a video, and I'll just send a quick message. Hey, Mark, it was so great meeting you at the open house at 123 Main Street. You might have seen a lot of houses. Do you remember this one? It had the red door in the backyard, right? Just want to see if there's any other questions you might have about this home or others that might interest you in the area. And I send them a quick video. If you have iPhones, you can send a video up to like, I think 30 seconds. So make them short, quick, and brief. And send them, or if you have Balm, you can use Balm to send a quick video as well. Video, I think, is ideal. Keep in mind, I would even continue to follow up for the next week or more. Keep calling. I've had people who have not responded the first week, and then they responded a week later. So the fortune is in the follow-up, which means you keep following up until they tell you not to call, right? I might also do a follow-up where I say, hey, Mark, I'm just following up about the home on 123 Main Street that you came through the open house. By the way, 2 other homes just came up on the market in that area. If you want more details about that, send me a message. People are nosy. They want to know. So send them a question and send them something where they have to respond to you to get that information. Don't give them all the details right on the message, right?
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Well, again, I apologize for my voice. I'm doing my best to heal, but obviously when I talk for 45 minutes, that's not helping my voice.
I got a question.
Yes, one more. Go ahead.
You do any events that you invite those people to? As a follow-up?
Okay. Well, I do events. I am a big party person. So like we just had a huge Easter party on Saturday. What I do with every lead is I enter them in my database, so they're getting information to everything. Now, I know that you've done some home buyer workshops and
Mhm.
home seller workshops, which I think is probably the direction you were going. I would, yes, absolutely have, and maybe you have that scheduled the Wednesday right after your open house.
Hmm.
By the way, that's a great thing that makes you stand out. We're having a home buyers workshop Wednesday night from 4 to 7 or 5 to whatever, 6 to 8.
Mhm.
And, you know, if you would like more information or would like to come, here's the information details about it. Home seller workshops. Yes, yes, I would do that.
You invite them to your personal parties, like your Easter party? Would you invite them to that kind of thing?
I invite everybody to every party I have. So like I said, I had a huge Easter party on Saturday. We had clients, family, friends, everybody. Like I was saying earlier, when my son was younger, his birthday was in July and we'd have a summer carnival. That was his birthday party. I mean, he
Hmm.
thought he had the best parents ever, right? We'd have these big bashes with water slides and all kinds of stuff. I invite everybody to events. I don't discriminate against anybody, right? I even invite other agents, I invite clients, I invite friends, because for me, the more the merrier. I want lots of people there. And I've never had an agent come to my party and try to steal my clients. Because
Hmm.
if you build your business right, you don't have competition, right?
Hmm.
Nobody's going to come. And I mean, all the clients that are at my parties like love me. So if you came to my party and you said, "Oh, how do you know Margarita?" "Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She sold me my house. She sold my daughter's house. She sold," right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying that because of ego. I'm just saying because I've been around a while.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is they were invited to my party by me. So I invite everybody. And you'll be amazed. Some people don't show up for years and then all of a sudden they show up. I had one who didn't show up for 15 years and then all of a sudden they showed up with 4 kids. I go, "Well, I guess you've been busy." So, you know, so I mean, I invite everybody to my parties. Matter of fact, we're gonna have our summer carnival this year, July 15th. I think y'all are welcome to come if you're in the area. So,
Awesome. Thank you.
all right, you guys, any other questions? Well, thank you all for all sticking around today. You guys all stayed around to the very end. So if you have any other questions, let me know and I'm here to help. You guys have an amazing day. Thank you, everybody.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Agreed. Bye.
Thank you.